That was some escape you made from Strangelove's lab.
Security inside was not so tight. The door to my room was locked from the outside, of course. But she took off the blindfold at bath time, so she could wash my hair.
Huh. Pretty luxurious treatment for a prisoner.
Wasn't it? She wouldn't undo the handcuffs, but she washed my body for me instead. And with such gentle care.
Why'd you run away? Didn't she say you could go home in a month? If your escape attempt failed, you'd be in greater danger than before.
I was supposed to be giving a presentation on the distribution of Costa Rican bird species at a conference. The date was approaching quickly. So, I pretended I had to use the toilet and made my escape. I found an ID card and searched everywhere for my equipment and my tape. But a soldier saw me. It was a miracle I managed to get away. There was no time to find the tape. I do not care about the conference. I am lucky enough to still be in one piece.
You bounce back quick.
You don't?
Not sure. I try not to dwell too much on the past, but...
Then don't. There is no point. I'm so glad to be out of there. I never felt safe, you know?
Tell me about it.
Well, I think she's interested in women. And I think she took a fancy to me.
Oh, well, that's,
Besides, it is much nicer here.
Was it just the two women in the lab?
Most of the time, oui.
And one of them, you only heard her voice, right?
Yes, that is correct. Such a wonderful voice. It sent chills up my spine.
What was the other woman like?
Don't even think about it. She has not the slightest interest in men.
No, it's part of my mission to...
Only teasing. Let me think. I believe she was in her 30s. Pretty, with a good sense of style, but austere in her tastes. A very unusual woman.
And she was doing research on AI?
AI? So that is what she was up to. You know, she did say something interesting. That people should not be going into space. That it is too dangerous.
An automated control system for rockets, then.
She said something about wanting to get closer to her dying wish. I think she must have been talking about an old lover.
Lover? You mean another woman?
My, aren't we curious about women and other women? You want to hear the terrible things she tried to do to me?
That's not what I meant.
It's all right. You can be honest.
You do seem to get along awfully well together.
No, not at all.
I think you're hiding something.
Never mind. Aren't you supposed to be looking for the Quetzal? Here, I'll demonstrate its call for you.
I knew it. Let's go over this one more time. First, I need an ID card to get into the lab.
That is correct. From the outside, it looks like any other room. But on the inside, it is a state-of-the-art research facility.
And your ID card got taken away from you by some guy in an orange jacket.
Exactly. I had a Quetzal singing nearby. It has not been that long since it happened.
It could be tricky if he's out on patrol, but if he's a stationary sentry, you don't think the Quetzal's moved?
Its nest is probably nearby. I do not think it will go away anytime soon.
Good. I'll get on looking for that soldier.
If you forget what it sounds like, I will do the call for you again. Just give me a call anytime you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I'll do that. Let me get this straight. You were in Costa Rica as a bird watcher?
Yes, I was. Not for pleasure, though. I am a researcher, after all. I am studying the distribution of Latin American bird species. With today's compact cassette tape recorders, even a woman like me can carry her recording equipment by herself. But it was a mistake to come alone.
Even so, there sure are a lot of wild birds in Costa Rica.
Aren't there? Over 800 different species, said to be more than 10% of all living bird species on Earth. How many can you name, Mr. Ornithologist?
Hey, I was just trying not to scare you.
You should at least have a basic knowledge of Costa Rica. How about this? I will give you a thorough education, Mr. First-Time Ornithologist.
Okay. Start by telling me about the Quetzal. Cécile, what's that machine you said you used to make those recordings of yours? Cassette, something or other.
A cassette recorder, or a cassette densuke, as they say in Japan.
Yeah, that. What is that thing anyway?
A portable recording device released last year by a Japanese company, Sony. It uses compact cassettes, making it far lighter than open-reel machines. It still weighs 5 kilograms, but the exercise won't kill me.
Ha!
It is user-friendly too. All the buttons have markings on them, allowing you to operate it without looking at it. Can you imagine missing the shot of a lifetime simply because you blinked?
Oh, that would be devastating. But where'd they come up with densuke? Sounds like a Japanese name.
Allow me to field that one.
Kaz?
Densuke is a nickname that comes from the name of an old manga character.
Was he some recording nerd too?
Don't give me that. Recording atmospheric noises is an exhilarating art. There's nothing like capturing the real world in action on tape. It's just like taking pictures with a camera, only with a microphone instead of a viewfinder.
Sure.
Listen to a tape with your eyes closed, and the scene just bursts to life in your mind's eye. Tell him, Cécile.
Absolutely. When I listen to the sounds of the birds in my apartment, it is like I am back in the forest, where I recorded them.
See? She's a Parisienne. She knows what's chic.
If you say so.
And what do you like to record, Monsieur Miller?
Me? Steam locomotives, no question. The roar of the engine, the throaty steam whistle. More animal than machine. Don't get me started. Steam locomotives are a dying breed in Japan. I wouldn't mind going back for a bit and making some new tapes while I still can.
You are less civilized than I thought.
Less civilized?
I detest those beasts. The noise frightens off all the birds. Then there is the smoke. I much prefer the peace and quiet of the forest.
Cécile, wait. That came out wrong.
Sure it did.
All right. What do you want to know about Quetzals?
Give me the basics. Something that'll help me find one.
Okay then. First of all, as I'm sure you remember, the Quetzal's wings and back are emerald green, a dazzling blend of viridian fading into blue. Its belly is brilliant red, and its tail feathers are white. Such a gorgeous bird. Also, the male has 2 long decorative feathers, but only during breeding season. Among birds, males are usually more beautiful than females.
Like a peacock's tail.
Yes, just like that. It is interesting to note that while their bodies are only 40 centimeters long, many Quetzals reach over a meter in length when you include their decorative plumage. Quetzals typically build their nests by making holes in dead trees with their beaks, about 3 to 4 meters above the ground. They are omnivorous and eat everything from nuts to lizards.
Where can I find one?
Their habitat stretches across the entire tropical cloud forest. You may end up having to rely on its song to find one.
Good to know.
I will do an imitation. Listen closely.
Hey, not bad.
Shall I do a chicken next? Cluck, 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 quack, quack, quack.
No thanks. That's enough.
Are you sure? How about a monkey?
Yeah, don't need that either.
Oh, all right then.
You said you could do a monkey call.
Yes? Want to hear it?
Yeah, I won't be able to get it off my mind until I do.
All right, here it is then.
That's pretty good.
I can do others too, like a sheep, a pig.
Yeah? Wow. What about a pig? That's uncanny.
Oh, I can do a rabbit as well.
A rabbit? Rabbits make noises?
Certainly, but they are very faint, so perhaps only someone who has owned one would recognize them.
I see. So, what do they sound like?
Listen very carefully.
Okay. Seriously? Rabbits sound like that?
I assure you they do. Listen again.
Never heard a rabbit do that before.
They do, I swear. Costa Rica is the home to many hummingbirds as well. The people here call them colibri.
Colibri, huh?
Hummingbirds are the world's smallest birds. Although they can vary from species to species, most are around 10 centimeters in length, and the smallest no more than 5. It is amazing to think that something so small can still be a fully developed bird.
I think a bird that tiny would get mistaken for a bug.
Actually, they are often mistaken for sphinx moths. The little darlings feed on flower nectar, and their beaks are long and thin to help them drink up the nectar. They beat their wings far faster than any other bird. The smallest ones over 70 times a second. Can you imagine?
What for?
They hover in midair while they suck their nectar. They can even fly straight backwards.
Hovering. Like a helicopter. That's why Amanda and her unit called that chopper Colibri.
I think it is an insult to the birds to give their names to weapons. Don't you?
Don't ask me. Ask the birds how they feel about it.
Have you ever heard of the Manakins?
Never.
Unbelievable! You came all the way to Costa Rica and you've never even heard of them?
I didn't come here to look at...
Manakins are known for their beautiful courtship dances. The orange-colored Manakin is said to live on the Pacific side, the white-bearded Manakin on the Caribbean side, and the long-tailed Manakin is in the Central Basin. The long-tailed Manakins are especially distinctive.
What's special about them?
First, each young male picks an older male to teach him how to dance. Then, teachers and pupils all get in a group and dance for the females. However, only the teachers get paired off with females. The pupils practice their technique for 7 years before striking out on their own and finding their own pupils.
I guess it takes time to get good at anything. Whether it's dancing or soldiering.
Manakins always have plenty to eat. Apparently, that is why they have so much free time to practice dancing.
Unlike us, obviously.
Another well-known bird of the cloud forest is the three-wattled bellbird.
Wattled? What the hell's a wattle?
It is just like your beard, Snake.
What?
It is a piece of flesh that hangs down from its chin. Kind of like whiskers, but not made of hair.
A hanging piece of flesh.
Oui, and it only grows on males.
Nothing more important to a man than his beard. So, these birds are in the cloud forest too?
They are normally found in the lowland rainforests, but they migrate into the highland cloud forests during breeding season. What the three-wattled bellbird is best known for, though, is its loud call. It makes these metallic bong and ding sounds, hence the name bellbird. It hardly sounds like a bird at all. Even an expert bird caller like me cannot do it justice.
Oh, it doesn't sound like I'll be mistaking it for a Quetzal.
Do you know the national bird of Costa Rica? Honestly, and you call yourself an ornithologist? The national bird of Costa Rica is the clay-colored robin. It's a plain-looking brown bird found throughout the country.
Why'd they make it the national bird, then? Are there all kinds of better-looking birds like the Quetzal?
Ah, the clay-colored robin has the most exquisite song. And I think it is part of the Costa Rican national character to choose a bird everyone knows and loves over prettier ones.
Somehow these people don't strike me as being very Latin.
Speaking as an ornithologist, I am rather happy with that choice. Not all birds have to be pretty. Oh, and just so you know, the Quetzal is the national bird of Guatemala. The scarlet macaw and the great green macaw are also representative birds of Costa Rica. Macaws are a type of parrot, enormous, stately birds.
Macaw. I think I've heard that name somewhere before.
But of course you have. You are an ornithologist, no?
Stop it!
So, tell me, where do macaws live in Costa Rica today?
Oh, come on now.
I am only teasing you. Macaws live not in the cloud forests, but in the rainforests on the Pacific side of Costa Rica. In the past, they were a common sight all across the country. But lately, the population has decreased dramatically. One possible cause is the pesticide sprayed to facilitate large-scale banana cultivation.
Evicted from their own land, huh?
Thankfully, conservation efforts have been gaining some momentum lately.
Never heard the name KOJIMA before. Then again, I don't know many people from France. Is it a common name?
No, not that common. But Wagner's second wife was named Cosima Francesca Gaetana Wagner.
Huh.
You know, Kojima is a common last name in Japan.
Kaz?
It's just funny how, I'm part Japanese and Cecile's middle name is so close to Kojima. It feels like destiny unfolding.
You think so?
Oui, oui. That's a beautiful name you have. Cecile Cosima Caminades. Wait a second. Cecile Cosima Caminades. Cosima Caminades. Hey, that's close to...
Close to what?
your name. It sounds almost like the sentence Kojima Caminades in Japanese.
And what does it mean, s'il vous plaît?
Well, kami is the word for God in Japanese. Nandesu. Well, it's hard to explain. But placed after God, it would turn the sentence into is God.
Okay, so?
Kojima is God. Cecile's name is a message. I don't believe it. Kojima is God. Kojima is God.
Kaz? How are you enjoying Mother Base so far?
Ah, it is wonderful.
Good to hear. I was worried someone as cultured as you would find the plant a little uncouth.
Uncouth? You've got albatross, and frigate birds, and terns, and tropic birds. Seabirds I have never had a chance to see in France.
Oh, well, great.
Sorry, I know I should not spend all day chasing birds. Is there anything I can help with?
I appreciate the offer, but I'm not sure what I could ask you to do.
Well, I'm certainly not cut out to shoot a gun.
Cecile, where'd you learn to move through the forest like that? The birds weren't scared of you at all.
Becoming one with the forest is the very essence of bird watching. They won't behave naturally if they sense a human nearby. And that can really affect your observations.
I see. Kind of like scouting then.
I am also good at spotting birds from a distance, tracking them based on the tiniest of clues, and being aware of my surroundings.
You're starting to sound even more like a scout.
The only way to find a bird is to think like a bird. Now, think you can find a place for me?
Yeah. Did you live in Paris your whole life before coming here?
Ah, yes. It is my favorite city. Paris is the world capital of art and culture. It has the latest fashion, the best cuisine, and the most elegant, refined people. The beauty of the Champs-Élysées at night is almost Unearthly. The name comes from Elysium, the name of paradise in Greek mythology. Heaven, in other words.
Must be nice for some people. Not for me.
Are you saying the cultured life does not appeal to you?
I'm saying I never had a chance to lead one. Not that it appealed to me anyway.
You prefer war?
I don't like war. Life outside heaven just suits me better.
That is a hard way to live. But if you do ever come to France, I will show you around Paris. Then you will see what heaven on earth is really like.
Heaven on earth, huh? The only image I have of France is the Foreign Legion.
Ah, that is how you view France?
What do the French think of them?
It is a difficult question. We normally don't think about it so much.
Well, critics claim it forces foreigners to take on the most dangerous missions, so French citizens won't get hurt.
You are right. That probably had something to do with why it was created. But I understand that along with service comes benefits, such as French citizenship and permanent residency. Those who join are all given an equal chance, regardless of race, religion, education, social status, or national origin. So it can be a godsend for people from poor countries.
A way for the have-nots to live a decent life. I guess that's not so different from MSF. There's one other image I have of France. The national anthem.
Ah, La Macaws. Not everyone is a fan, of course.
The whole, to arms, citizens. May an impure blood water our furrows thing, eh?
The song was composed right after the French Revolution. Fearing what the tide of the revolution represented, the ruling classes in neighboring countries applied all kinds of pressure on the young government. La Macaws became the anthem of the volunteer armies that sought to protect constitutional rule against that pressure.
And they couldn't do that without armed force.
Oui, I agree, some parts are a little belligerent. But we must not forget that if it were not for them, France would not be the democracy it is today. Have you ever seen The Umbrellas of Cherbourg?
A movie? No, never seen it.
No? It came out 10 years ago. Catherine Deneuve. She's so beautiful in it. And the music, the costumes, the colors. It takes place in the naval port of Cherbourg.
That was a beachhead in Normandy.
It is set back when young men were conscripted to fight in the Algerian War.
The French government called the conflict a public order operation in northern Africa.
I was still a little girl then, but I can clearly remember one of my friend's older brothers going off to fight.
Yeah, national service is required in France.
The war splits up two young lovers. Director Jacques Demy's lyrics and Michel Legrand's music tore at my heart. I will never forget its wonderful melodies.
Are you okay?
It changes lives, changes fates. War is not a good thing.
For some reason, it strikes a chord to hear that coming from someone like you. Speaking of the Algerian War of Independence, you ever hear of the Day of the Jackal?
Ah, you mean the novel that was made into a movie last year? The OAS, a militant French underground group, plots to assassinate de Gaulle, hiring a hitman known as the Jackal. Readers know that de Gaulle was not killed, but it is still so exciting. If someone was going to try to eliminate me, I would hope they would be as thorough as the Jackal, to know everything about me without me suspecting a thing.
Oh, yeah?
I wonder if my birds feel the same way.
I wonder.
France conducted its first successful nuclear test in the Algerian Sahara in 1960.
A lot of French scientists took part in the Manhattan Project. They defected to America to escape wartime occupation.
Correct. And once the war was over, they returned to France and continued their own atomic research. President de Gaulle did not want to have to rely on the American nuclear umbrella for protection,
Thus making France the world's fourth nuclear power.
Some say the test's success pacified the Algerian rebels. The civil war was undoubtedly held in check, but never have I equated nuclear weapons with peace. France has produced many philosophers over the years. Descartes, Bataille, Sartre, Baudrillard.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Sartre myself. He called Che Guevara the most complete man of the century, didn't he? Smart guy.
He does tend to sympathize with the left. And what else do you know about him?
That's it.
You know nothing else?
Nope.
Ooh la la! The man is one of the giants of existentialism, you know?
Existentialism? I've been meaning to look into that. Nothing more dangerous than sneaking in without first securing an exit.
No, existentialism. Sometimes I wonder if my English is not better than yours.
Sorry, I'm just not into philosophy.
Ah, is that so? I would imagine it might really enrich your life.
I'd rather take action now than spend time thinking about what we are or how we're supposed to live. I guess you could say I live my philosophy.
Interesting. That sounds like something Sartre would say.
Yeah?
He says we are born with no defined nature, and that we are free to make ourselves what we wish.
Free. So he was one of those devil-may-care kind of guys, huh?
No. Actually, he meant that because we are free to create our own life, we must take full responsibility for our actions. Man is condemned to be free, is how he put it.
Condemned to be free.
But then, others will take it upon themselves to define who you are.
I've been feeling that way lately. I keep telling people to call me Snake, but nobody seems to listen.
Sartre also says, hell is other people.
Hell. Well, we are outside of heaven.
Do you have an interest in the visual arts, Snake?
Not really. Please, no deep conversation.
But you have heard of Picasso, yes?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Sadly, Monsieur Picasso, co-founder of Cubism, passed away in the south of France last year. France was his home, you know.
Huh? I thought he was born in Spain.
Do you know his full name?
Pablo Picasso. Anyone would know he's Spanish with a name like...
Huh. Shows what you know.
What do you mean?
Okay, here we go. Pablo Diego José Francisco de la Paula Juan Nepomuceno María de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Ruiz y Picasso. What do you think? That was his full name.
Still, I don't see how...
A master of modern art. A genius who crafted over 100,000 works in various styles, spending the greater part of his life in France. The man is a part of our culture.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is of limited use in my field. But back to the point. Picasso was Spanish, right? Or am I missing something? He wasn't French, right? Right? Cécile.
What difference does it make? It does not matter if he was from Spain or from Mars. Picasso is Picasso. It does not change the fact that he lived in France, nor does it take away from his monumental legacy. Why do you care so much about where he was from, anyway? Whatever happened to the sans frontière part of militaire sans frontière?
You started it.
France was his name.
What was that?
Nothing.
Tell me, Snake, do you ever put sweets in your rations?
Never thought about it before. Why?
Ah, I simply love them. French sweets are très délicieux. Everyone knows crepes, but there are also profiteroles, eclairs, madeleines, financiers. Then there's tarte tatin, and you can't forget Savarin. Oh, and millepereuil, crepes, blancmange.
Yeah, you already mentioned crepes.
Soufflés, croquembouche, cannelle, Florentine, Queen Amagne, peach melbas.
Finished?
And macaroons. I love those the most. Macaroon Parisian are the best. They are so cute and colorful, and they contain meringue, so they melt right in your mouth.
Wow. I'd no idea macaroons were that popular in France, too.
What do you mean in France, too?
Macaroons are those coconut-flavored cookies, right?
Oh, excuse you? Macaroons contain almond powder, not coconuts.
Don't they have peanuts in them? I've had them in Japan a few times. I thought they were called macarons.
Macarons? Some cheap imitation, I am sure. French macaroons have a long and distinguished history. They date back to the 16th century when Catherine de' Medici of Florence married into the French royal family. The story goes that her pâtissier shared the recipe after they arrived. That is a history of over 500 years.
So, they're originally from Italy, then?
Well,
Don't macaroons come from Italy, too?
Look, I do not really think.
Keep in mind, macaron is almost identical to macaroni.
Well, that settles it.
I cannot believe this. To associate macaroons with macaroni? You, Monsieur Miller, are an insensible oaf.
Hey, why am I the bad guy? Come on, Cécile, wait! Cécile!
Hello? Snake? Mon chéri?
You been drinking, Cécile?
Can't you please do something about this pest?
Who?
Monsieur Miller!
What's he done now?
Wine.
Wine?
He said he thought the soldiers might tire of having beer all the time, so he's brought in some wine instead. And then he gave me a bunch.
Well, that was nice of him.
But the past 2 years have been bad for French wine. Perhaps it is the bad weather we have had. But whatever the case, I told him the last thing you want to be drinking right now is French wine.
Well, California and Chile have good wine, too.
But then he goes and stocks the pantry with nothing but French wine from 72. The stuff is a disaster. Then he says, "Come on, Cécile, have a taste of the old country." I had a terrible feeling about it, so I decided just to taste it at first. And then again. And then a few more times.
Took one for the team, huh? But when you do a tasting, don't you usually spit the wine out?
But bottle after bottle, nothing but garbage. Absolute garbage. Not one half-decent bottle in the whole lot. Taste of the old country, he says.
Sorry to hear that.
I cannot believe this. What will we do with all this wine?
The guys aren't too picky when it comes to taste.
You sound just like Monsieur Miller.
Huh?
When I complained, he simply said, "As long as it gets the job done." You people are such culinary savages. Allez tout vous faire voir. Somebody take me back to Paris, please.
I think you've had a little too much, Cécile. You seem like a very, how do I put this, uninhibited woman.
You think so? I am no different from other Parisian women. Not since May 1968.
May 1968? The general strike that almost brought down the president?
Right. But it was more than just a strike. It started with the student movement at Strasbourg University in '66. They did not want anything from the country, but instead sought reform at the school. That helped ignite a fire in the hearts of scores of dissatisfied young people. And the movement spread all over France. It was more than just opposition to Vietnam and the de Gaulle administration. People also called for free love and the breaking away from other old values. Looking back, I am not sure what the main goal really was. But whatever the case, it was more of a young people's movement than a strike or a protest.
So, it was like the hippies or something?
In some ways, perhaps. But we weren't blinded by mysticism, nor did we seek a return to nature.
I see. So, while they wanted to retreat to their closed communes,
we tried to change the world. And in doing so, we learned that when everyone comes together, it can be done.
you had a lot more success. In America, hippies have just become a social problem, while I hear Japan's student movements crashed and burned.
I wonder what was different.
Good question. I'd like to know myself.